actually
say it was going to be hard tonight.
okay, Janelle, where are you? Are you on this? Are you going across Sandy Am?
No, we're just about to get on to 26 in Clackamas. So I
Okay,
guess
well, you should
Decatur.
be okay, I think, now
Yeah.
for a while. So, but
Yeah.
if you go different ways, we're gonna lose you. But so let's just talk now, why, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yes, that's perfect.
All right. Well, so I'm not sure if you heard me, but I was trying to make sure that people, and you, of course, know that we have some endorsements to announce. So these are Indivisible endorsements, and anybody on the line with us today who is in those organizations, please wave your hands so that Janelle can see you waving. So first of all, we've got Indivisible Sisters. Yay! And we're on CD5. We've got Vocal Seniority. Yay! I know I saw Jerry Freelick on there. I'm not sure where he is because I'll just have a little tiny gallery right now. We've also got the DRAT team, which is otherwise known as Indivisible Tell the Truth. Yay! We've also got the Consolidated Oregon Indivisible Network. Yay!
And that's all of us. So everybody wave your hands.
Yes, that's right. That's right. We've got Act for Democracy. Yay! I'm in every one so far. This is amazing. Well, actually, yeah, I'm in Vocal Seniority as well. Indivisible Clackamas, do we have you guys on? Yay! I'm just cheering for them. Do we have any other Indivisible groups statewide that have endorsed that are not in CD5? Because I think I've named all of the CD5 groups, Indivisible groups. Anybody else? And
RD2 down in Jackson.
ORD2, yes. That is a huge powerhouse in Indivisible land. Anybody else out there?
Indivisible Cedar Mill.
Cedar Mill, yes, another one of our powerhouses. Janelle, you probably already know about them because they've been canvassing for you already, right? You know that?
Brett is telling me yes.
Yes, yes. Who else is on the line who is also endorsed Janelle?
Mary, I just wanted to add that some of the groups probably haven't had a meeting since the primary, or maybe haven't had a chance to do that. So there will likely be more endorsements coming as groups meet and have those discussions.
That is absolutely right. We wanted to focus first of all on the CD5 ones, but we want everybody across the state because this is not just a CD5 issue, it's a statewide issue, and as everyone knows, this is a national issue. So this is super important. Who else did I miss anybody? Anybody else want to announce an endorsement for Janelle from Indivisible Group? Anybody? Okay, well, there will be more coming and we'll get you the whole list of all of them. So we want to see them added to your website.
All right.
As soon as possible. Okay, well, that was kind of our little starting point. And now I wanted to just kind of start off with a couple of questions for you. And, then you can take some time to, expand and talk about whatever you'd like to talk about, make sure that people get to know you better. And so the first thing I wanted to just mention was I was very pleased and I wanted to commend you for challenging Lori to a debate. And that has seemed to really put her on her back foot. And I wanted to find out, first of all, have you gotten any response other than she's trying to dodge it? And when do you think we might be able to look forward to that happening?
So she has not responded. I think their response was they weren't going to respond through press releases. I don't think that they're going to want to have a debate because they're not talking about the issues. They're focusing on fear and dread and not really on the kitchen table issues that Oregonians care about and Americans care about, for that matter. Like, she's focusing on the southern border, which is important, but not relevant to what's happening in Oregon right this very moment. And, they're focusing on defunding the police. I mean, just I keep getting updates every day. They're focusing on the craziest things. And she's rubber stamping Trump's agenda. You all should be aware of that Project 2025 agenda, which is their playbook. They are executing it. We should not ignore that. So no, she's not serious. what I would hope to happen is closer to September, October, that the debates start happening. So I think, I don't know if she'll show up or not, but it'll be fun to put her paper effigy at her podium.
Yeah, well, we have two of those cutouts.
I know you guys are the source.
Yeah, so if you need a cutout, you don't, we can have the cutout like just happen by, I guess.
Yeah, I think Elizabeth Luthi told me she had one.
Yeah, we have one on each side of the mountains. We have one in Clackamas and we have one in my garage.
Okay.
So yeah,
Awesome.
we got the cutouts ready and waiting to be summoned into action. So, well, I'm glad you pointed out some of these, hot button issues. Of course, we're really focused right now with the second anniversary of the
Yeah.
demise of Roe. And that was another thing that I was very kind of heartened to see you go right out of the blocks and challenging her on that.
Mhm.
And I will also mention, I happened to attend her town hall, the fake little things that she does where she doesn't listen to any questions about anything that would disturb her. And of course, abortion
Oh,
did not even get mentioned at
yeah.
all, which is kind of stunning given the fact that it was, all over the news and you had been commenting about it, and she would have been a perfect opportunity for her to make some mention of it. But I wanted to find out from you what you think are the two or the three most important issues for your campaign to run on.
So choice is polling very high nationally. So that is one of the big issues. I would say the other issue is affordability. So affordability of housing, affordability of prescription drugs, affordability in terms of education. So accessibility in that space. That's one bucket. And then very specifically, I would say wildfire management, forest management is very high on the list. I think there was an article in the paper today about the first of the season that we've seen, a small wildfire, but not a small, because they're never small. They're always affecting someone's life or home or property. But, the management and the engagement with the federal government to figure out how to make things more workable for families. Also, the engagement with power companies about when to shut down in a responsible way. Those are issues that, people in the district have said are very high on their list.
Yeah, I think that all of us here, we know where that fire is. It's, I think,
Yeah.
near Lapine, which is, I
Yep,
think,
that's
slightly
right.
outside of your district, but it affects
Yeah.
us. I mean, because either the
Yep.
smoke blows on us and it makes it really unpleasant to be outside,
Right.
or it could spread. I mean, these things
Right.
can sometimes have, and it's very windy here today, very windy.
Right.
So it is a little alarming.
So one thing I, wanted to point out is that it depends on where people are in their stage of life, right? So if you're a young person, some people are having very strong concerns about the economy. If you may be a more stable older person, you may have the luxury of really caring about engaging in democracy. And so to me, protecting access to the ballot is extremely important. And also, I've mentioned this at a few meetings that I've engaged with grassroots supporters on. It's so important for not just us to vote, but for us to get our kids and grandkids to vote, and having that dialogue and those discussions about really what it means to have free and fair access to the ballot, and making sure that people like Trump don't make a mockery of our voting system. We also have a Secretary of State's race for whom the Republican opponent is, trying to cancel vote by mail. Like, that's a whole thing. And I was thinking today, some people miss, taking their kids to the polling places. We still have polling places, and you can still go to your polling place and take your kids and vote. Like, I've done that when my husband lost my ballot. So, so you can still go And my 22-year-old daughter really wants me to find a way to give out I voted stickers. Like she still, really wants that to happen. So I think where we can be effective and where we can drive these grassroots voter actions and make sure that we're touching every Democratic household and that we're driving turnout to about 65 to 80% for non-affiliated households, we can certainly win this election.
Well, that's really good news. For your daughter's benefit, I can suggest that everybody take a look at what's happening in Sisters. I know when I vote and drop my ballot in the box that's right in front of City Hall, I can walk inside City Hall and pick up one of those stickers that's sitting out in a little box. So I end up with a nice sticker. And even though I don't go into, a thing and close the curtain like I did in years past, that is the way to do it. So just let's get some of these counties to distribute out those little stickers, because I agree with her. It's one of those things where it just builds community to see other people with the sticker on, know that you're one of those folks, and that you're showing that you care about it. And that's what we do need to have, as we have had so many attacks on our institutions and our voting process, which have been like for the birds. One of the things that I was wondering about was, you were talking about these 2 or 3 different important issues. What about climate change? I know particularly that's a big issue for, I would say, just about everybody on this call. I mean, this is a group that is skewing left, and not everybody is going to be as left as we are in terms of, the constituents. But how about that? What's your viewpoint on that? And how would you kind of deliver it? I know sometimes people will say, instead of climate change, they'll talk about wildfires or, kind of other circumlocutions. But tell us a little bit how you would address those issues.
So I think given the political environment, it is much easier to translate the issue with climate change into real life practical examples. So as you mentioned, dealing with wildfires is one thing. If we were on the coast, I would be talking about the temperature of the ocean temperature rising and how that has an economic effect on the fishermen there, right? So like translating it into what people can understand and how they can feel it on a daily basis. In one part of our and of CD5, we have a significant amount of farmland. So what that also means, so in one section, we may have, extreme risk for wildfire, but we also have extreme risks for our farm workers. And so that is how I talk about climate change on the ground at a level that people can understand. Your 18-year-old voter can understand what it is like for a farm worker to have to consistently worry about their health if, temperatures are going above 85 degrees. And so some of the legislation that we've passed at the Oregon legislature level has been to protect Oregon farm workers. But we absolutely know that from a climate change perspective, we need to protect farm workers and outdoor workers across the country. And that is a direct result of climate change. There are other things that we can do in terms of, talking about pollutants and diesel fuel and things like that, where we have a little bit more of a problem, and I don't think it's as easy to talk about in an election space, is the cost that goes with that. But it doesn't necessarily cost us in the same way when we protect farm workers and when we have spirited discussions based on science about how to mitigate wildfires.
You mentioned some of the things that you'd been involved with in the legislature. I personally was the leader of the legislative task force, and I know that I see Debbie Ferrer is on there. She has been managing that for a number of years after that. But I certainly became aware of you as a leader in the legislature through the research that I did on the bills that were coming forward. And I wondered if you'd just take a moment, you mentioned, you know, and I remember that bill very well, to provide those types of protections to farm workers. Tell us a little bit more about other bills that you think will be really, you know, good, shall I say, selling points, or, you know, good evidence of the type of leader you would be when you're elected to Congress.
Well, Kathy Salvaggio out of West Lynn was one of my grassroots constituents, but not quite constituents, when I worked on police reform. And really, it was more about public safety, in my opinion. So how do we make sure that our communities are safe and that we have the best and the brightest wearing the badge? And while that issue is not, you know, front and center to us now, when I talked with Travis Hampton, who's the former Oregon State Police Superintendent, he reminded me, he said, Janelle, you know, the work that we did collaboratively is some of the most advanced public safety legislation that this country has ever seen. And what we did here in Oregon should be nationwide. So for instance, mug shots, when, you know, a person, whether they are, you know, having a bad day or whether they've protested and gotten, you know, arrested, we passed a law to make sure that people's mugshots were not released, and they were not allowed to be used for doxing, which is sharing someone's public information online in order to harm them. Like, that's really good policy, and we work together with law enforcement to do that. So my style of leadership is one that I try to make sure that I'm getting multiple perspectives, knowing that even if we want the same thing, we kind of come at it a little bit differently. And so that was one. I did one with the CHIPS Act, the Oregon CHIPS Act. There's still more work to be done, but one key piece of that was childcare. And we know that Oregon is in desperate need of more childcare options. So we were doing basically a trial run of small employers being able to pool their money in order to grow the number of childcare spots for their workers. Like, that is the kind of envelope pushing collaborative approach that I work with, and I do that in a bipartisan way.
Let's get down to brass tacks. What can we do to help you defeat Lori Chavez DeRemer and flip this Oregon District 5 back into our column again?
So number one is volunteering to write postcards. The postcards help shift momentum, especially during polling. So my expectation, based on what I've kind of learned during the primary, is that people are constantly polling this district because they want to know where to invest their money. And already, so two things have happened. Republicans put $500,000 into the Democratic primary because they wanted to swing it. The second is they already started running TV ads for Lori again, which means they polled and they know that Indivisible is having an impact. They know that. And so, so doing the postcards, signing up with Brett to do door knocking. I think we did we do 700 doors last week-ish?
450.
Sorry, I'm exaggerating. 450. But we're ramping up every week to knock doors. Again, those conversations that I mentioned with your children and grandchildren, nieces and nephews, this election, in my opinion, is probably going to come down to 500 votes. And so if you each can contribute 3 or 4 extra votes to that, that's important. And then the final thing I would say is, if you have the capacity to be a neighborhood leader and get a packet, like right now in Lynn County, we're covered by about 18%. So our neighborhood leader program there has, is it 70 volunteers? And yeah, 70 volunteers and 18% coverage. If we doubled that, perhaps we could get to closer to 50% coverage, meaning that every voter, that 50% of the voters in that county have had a touch by their neighbor. in Deschutes, I think you have 140 neighborhood leaders. And I don't quite remember the coverage. It might be closer to 40. But that is an important group that is knocking and touching. And then in Marion County, they have turfed out their entire county. So they have packets waiting for people. So that's how you can get engaged. Very simple, touching a neighbor and driving that 500 vote difference in our favor.
Yeah, I can speak from personal experience. I was a neighborhood leader in Multnomah County, and I'm one now here in Deschutes County. It's a great experience, and it works. I mean, we had tremendous growth in the number of people participating in the vote in the primary election compared to, the rest of Deschutes County where people did not get that touch, and also compared to the rest of the state. So it is definitely something to. So if you're not, any of you out there who are not yet neighborhood leaders, please sign up for that because it is a really good program. I wanted to ask you about the postcards. Now, you know that Indivisible has been doing this postcarding program, right? And we're
Yes.
going out and touching, we've already distributed 29,000 postcards, and we're going to be getting that less than 1,000. But are you going to have more postcards that you're going to be doing? Or so what are we talking about? Is this another program?
So I was referring to your postcard
Okay.
program, and in the past, I've done postcards actually in my state races. It was really actually kind of fun. I would do a pre-visit postcard. We were really a postcard campaign. I
Yeah.
would do a pre-visit and say, hey, I'm going to be in your neighborhood next week. And then after I knocked the door, I would do a post-visit postcard. And that's actually how we went. I had just forgotten about that. And so I think we'll try and do another postcard campaign. We will coordinate because it does me no good to order postcards and then not have anybody to do them. But
Okay.
what we're trying to do is build on what is already in place and drive that enthusiasm with people who already know what they're doing and can spread that enthusiasm throughout the
Well,
district.
I will just correct one small thing. We won't be doing any coordinating, but of course, we will be sending many volunteers your way to do all types of
Okay.
wonderful things for you. As soon as we find out from Brett or whoever what the parameters are, we have a lot of folks who love to do postcards. And so
Okay.
especially, I got to get rid of mine first. So you got to take a backseat to that, but it shouldn't be much
Yeah.
longer. And then we'll be ready to
Well,
go for that.
the main point here, though, is that every Wednesday we have an organizing meeting, and
Mhm.
we've pulled together every county party. We've pulled together you guys at Indivisible. We've pulled every candidate that's running in CD5 that wants to participate, and we're having an organizing meeting every week. And that is to make sure that the left hand knows what the right hand knows, what the middle hand is doing, and that we can build the momentum from there. So having your representatives attend that meeting helps us get out the message on what we need and allows us also to share volunteer opportunities and have you guys shared in your newsletters and help us get volunteers.
Yeah, and I think we're always really wanting to do everything we can, as long as it's public. I mean, we can't get private information, but as long as it's public, we can drive as many people to you as we can possibly manage. I have one final question for you, and that is, what else do you want us to know about you or your campaign? I mean, we've covered a lot of stuff in a short time, but tell me anything else that you wanted to hit on.
Well, sure. I haven't met everyone, so just to give you a quick bio, I'm a mom of four. I'm a electrical engineer by training. I worked for General Motors on electro-hydraulic power steering. So I'm kind of a nerd in that way. I believe in math. I believe in science. And I'm a local business owner. I've served in the legislature for 8 years now, and my work is in service to Oregon's children. At the end of the day, I believe in creating a world that has safe and accessible health care for them, a world-class education, clean air, clean water, and a future in Oregon that they can come home to. So my focus has always been making sure that that we're doing the best. Like I said, I'm a mother of 4, and that's what I wake up and do every day. And I think many of us care about what we care that it doesn't seem right now that the future for our children is better than the one that we had. There are a lot of people feeling a lot of angst that, things just aren't going to be better. And so I think that is why I get up every day and fight this fight. And I'm willing to put Lori Chavez DeReamer out of business. So I've beaten her once, I've beaten her twice, and I'm ready to do it a third time.
Okay, well, we're really eager to help you get that trifecta. It is very important to all of us here. That's why we're here. And we want you to feel the support and see the support and experience the support. So we are so happy and grateful that you were able to join us tonight. And
Thank you.
I personally will see you tomorrow because I'm going to go to the debate watch party.
The watch party?
Yeah,
Awesome.
anybody who is on the east side of the Cascades, there is a debate watch party. Doors open at 5:30, I think, and I can't remember the name of the place. But if you're interested in finding out more about that, drop your names in the chat, and we can make sure that you get that information. And Janelle will be there. Emerson Levy will be there. Who else is going to be there? A couple other folks.
Broadman, Anthony
Broad. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's going to be a number of folks, and it should
at
be
the Midway Historic Public House. Nope, that's
Okay.
That's the different one. That's the Clackamas one.
Yeah. But just drop your names in the chat, and we'll make sure you get that because I'm signed up for it, so I don't remember what it is, but it's someplace in Bend, and
This is the
yeah,
Haven. The Haven is what somebody says in the chat.
That's right. It's the Haven co-working place.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Okay. Well, thank you again, Janelle,
All right.
and we'll see you around.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.